All right. Hi, everybody. I'm so happy to see you here. For those that don't know me, my name is Dr. Brittany McLeod, and I'm the Associate Director in the Office of Undergraduate Research and Major Awards. And today we are going to be talking about managing your time during the winter break. So kind of a reset as you prepare for finals and thinking through if you'd like to work on research during those few weeks off from classes. So the first thing that I want to do is acknowledge that, everyone here is a human being first. And this has been an incredibly challenging year. And that is a massive understatement. And I know that. And so I've always lived by this philosophy that you're humans first, and then, daughters, sons, brothers, sisters, parents, student employees, researchers, all these other things after that. And so your human needs come first. And I want you to understand that this break that you have coming up is that it's a break for you to pause, rest, and reflect on the year without having obligations to your academics, unless you are under some sort of employment contract or something that does require you to work on things during the break. So everything that I mentioned here today is centered around recommendations, things that you can try out. If you're thinking of working on projects during your break, you are, by attending this, in no way bound to working on research projects during the winter break. But these are just ideas and things that you could try out, and things to kind of help keep you in a positive mindset and feel like you are being productive during the break. So with that in mind, I'd like to start by having everybody just take a couple of minutes to reflect on what has gone well for you this year. And that seems like a really loaded question, and I know, because it's been such a hard year for so many people, but it's still important to think about what has gone well. So whether that is personally, academically, professionally, if you feel comfortable sharing, please go to menti.com and it will prompt you to enter a code, and you'll enter 529799. And I'm going to pull up the results so that we can kind of stay up and everybody be able to see what you're sharing. Oh, that was one ahead than it should have been. Okay. So I'll wait here for these to come in. Okay, that's awesome. That's really impressive. Trading and building up an account by 20K. Able to finish my first summer research and able to advance that to a thesis that you're almost done with writing the first draft. That's incredible. Writing a thesis is very challenging. It's time consuming. It drains your energy. So congratulations. And surf, I'm so happy that we were able to do the surf program virtually this year. That was a huge deal for our office to be able to do that. And also to have undergraduate research day done virtually. Just kind of a shameless plug here. We've announced the spring 2021 undergraduate research day will be happening. It will be virtual. But we are accepting posters through March 1st for that. 18 credit hours your first semester. That's amazing. That is so much. Congratulations. Definitely take this break and enjoy some rest. And of course, finishing with strong grades. That's something that should be applauded. I've mentioned it already. It's been a challenging year. So to come out and feel like you have grown in some way, whether it is something you expected or not, is really something that's important and worth taking the time to acknowledge and share with people. And I think time management, yeah, that is an area that I think we all learned how to manage our time differently because we don't have to necessarily commute to places, or make sure that we are thinking of time between classrooms if we're doing things remotely. Let's see, read 40 books. Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah, I probably ordered 20 or 30 books and they're sitting on my nightstand ready to be read, but they have not been read yet. That's fantastic. All right, so you feel free to continue sending things in, and I can share these all whenever we're done today. But I'll go back to the presentation. I just wanted to take a minute for all of us to think about different areas where we're thriving, we're doing well. And so now I want to go into thinking about the break specifically. You have 1 month essentially. Finals wrap up on December 16th, as you know, and spring classes begin on January 19th. And so you've got about 4 weeks there. And I know that some of us celebrate various holidays in the months of December and January. So there are different days where we might be more or less inclined to participate in research activity based on what we are doing with family or friends or what we are observing during these months. And so be mindful and understand that whenever I share a calendar view here in a little bit, I'm not highlighting specific holidays because I just want to be respectful of what you might be or might not be observing. And I want you to have that freedom to pick the days that fit what you'd like to do. So I want to ask you all, and if you just want to share in the chat, that's fine. But if you feel comfortable sharing what your plans are for the break, I know myself, I am not going anywhere. I typically, my husband and daughter, we visit my parents up by Tyler, Texas. That is home sweet home for me. And we won't be going there this year. And it's a really weird feeling. So I'm having to kind of recalibrate and think, okay, how am I going to spend the couple of weeks that I do have away from work, and how am I going to still connect with people? But if you don't mind, just feel free to share here in the chat what you will be doing. And I know that everybody is, traveling as safely as we can. A lot of students that I've talked to are, saying, well, I'm going to go visit with family because we are quarantining a little bit before the visit, or, we all feel really comfortable with the case level in our community, or what a lot of people are doing is, a Zoom meeting over holidays, or just a weekly check-in with friends. So sorry, I will stop. You go ahead and share. Yeah, sleeping in sounds amazing. Okay, personal reading, nice. Anyone else? Connecting with friends and family virtually, scholarship, internship applications, trading. Yeah, I would say you've had a pretty successful last 6 months with trading. I would keep that up. Yeah, a lot of time to think about scholarships, internships, grad school. Okay, winter mini. Yeah, it is a good time because you can take one mini class or something and just hyper focus on that. So it's a good time for it. Okay, moving. I imagine there are a lot of logistics around moving right now and trying to figure that out. Okay, summer programs. Yeah, this is a great time to look out for summer programs. And if you have questions about what summer research programs are out there, please feel free to email me and I'll try to get you in touch with a few links and people if I know some contacts. Right now, I'm getting a lot of questions from students interested in medical focused research programs. Like if you've already done surf, but you want to do something else next summer, there are still opportunities out there. So please let me know. Okay, so definitely seeing the opportunity to rest, travel, or just visit virtually and reflecting on the semester in general. But there is a time here to work on research activity. And so it's a time when a lot of people don't think to work on research because, you think, okay, this is when I finally get to take a break from research. I don't want to look at it until next year. But it's such a unique time that if you're not taking a winter mini or you're not focused on other projects during the time period, then identifying a couple of very specific research goals during the winter break can be really productive for you. And so I want to get into that as soon as I go over some checklists here. And this is a part that some of you probably didn't expect me to talk about. When I was putting this together, I thought it would be a good idea to run through just some daily things that can help you feel more productive and positive overall. And I left one off here, but I want to mention it. Environmental. There are certain things in your immediate environment that can help you feel more productive and lift your mood. And it's, really basic things that I know on some hard days don't feel so basic. But making your bed, picking up your room, clearing your desk, putting on music that makes you feel calm and happy, just little things that go on in your personal environment that are going to make you feel like, okay, I can take on my day and I can be more productive because I have a clear space, or I know where everything is located, if it is like the organized chaos thing that some of us subscribe to. There are also some mental, physical, emotional, and social checklists that I want to go through. And so mental checklist for your break, these are not things that you have to sit down and necessarily plan, like, oh, I'm going to do 5 minutes of this, and then I'm going to do 20 minutes of a brain dump, and then I'm going to journal for 5 minutes. Just let these things be recommendations that if it's something you're into, if you like meditation or deep breathing, there are different apps out there that can help. The Calm app is fantastic. It does require a subscription, and there are some free apps out there for it. But even just sitting and breathing and sitting in the quiet for 5 minutes can be really helpful for clearing your mind. Getting into brain dumping tasks and ideas. This is something that I really got familiar with in the last year. And it's super helpful because what I have found and what research has found is our brains are being pulled in a million different directions anyway. But during COVID and this whole year, everything going on, our brains are being pulled in extra stressful directions that are kind of sucking away our brain's abilities to focus in the moment on tasks and questions, and it pulls away from memory as well. And so we're trying to stay alive and stay safe and stay connected, but we have to take the time to safeguard ourselves by thinking, okay, the minute that I come up with an idea or a question I want to ask somebody, I'm going to write it down. And that way it's there and I can refer back to it. Because what we're seeing with a lot of people, myself included, is later in the day, so many things have gone on that we forget that specific question or the particular person we were supposed to reach out to with that question. So spending some time each day, just dumping out everything on paper, or if you prefer to type it up, whatever works for you. For me, there's a permanence to writing things down on paper. And so just writing things out, whether it's a to-do list of everything you want to get done, people you need to reach out to, things you need to apply for, and what you need to collect in order to apply to those things, organize a brain dump like that. It can be really helpful. And once you have it all out on paper, you can sit there and say, okay, now that I have this all out, okay, I can cross out the things that are low priority and don't really have to get done right now. I can circle the things that are high priority and high impact kind of things that are going to need to get done immediately. Somebody's saying that's why sticky notes were invented. Yes, my computer at my office on campus had sticky notes all over it because of doing exactly this. Journaling is something that a lot of people have really gotten into. It's nothing new, but even taking 5 minutes to write out something that went well, something that you discovered during the day that was exciting, that you'd like to look into more, can be really helpful. And then I also encourage you to think ahead to the spring semester. Think about, okay, what 3 words do I want to be able to describe my spring semester with by the end of that semester? And so I don't want to spit out words here and get in your head. I want you to come up with your own kind of ideas of what you want to be representing your semester. But think about that. Think about what you would like your spring semester to represent for you and what you'd like to accomplish there. You're going to be taking classes still, and you're going to have research activity happening. Some of you are going to be participating in PERS or Mellon Research Scholars or doing senior honors thesis in the spring. And so I want you to be thinking about that and to think about your goals with those things in mind. Physical checklist for the break. These are things that I am telling you to do that I am not so great at myself. So I also need to be better at these. Going outside for 15 minutes. I was talking with my doctor a couple of weeks ago, and she said, it's so important to get outside and have fresh air. Vitamin D and sunshine in general just lifts your mood. But most people are vitamin D deficient, and even just 15 minutes outside in the sun can help you. And so I encourage you to get out, get some fresh air, because we're sitting in front of computers all day, and that is draining for so many reasons. But just taking a few minutes outside to look around and, walk by yourself or somebody that you are home with that has also been safe. That's something that's been shown to be very helpful. During these breaks, and I would even go as far as to say this whole year, it's very easy to lose track of time and forget to eat something. You'll look at your watch and say, oh, all right, well, it's 2 o'clock and I did not have breakfast and I need to eat lunch and I've had maybe half a Pop-Tart. That is actually what I did today. So it's remembering to eat something, remembering to grab healthy foods that are not going to zap your energy and make some smart choices there, and make sure that you're hydrating. It's hard to remember that because time is this social construct and you never know what day it is or what time it is during these breaks. So I feel like these are really basic recommendations, but it's worth noting and just reminding both you and myself that these are important things. A lot of people were sitting at our laptops or computers or even just on our phones, scrolling through, and we get all of this pressure in our necks, heads, spines. And so making sure that you take time to stretch in the morning and before you go to bed, kind of throughout the day you're walking around, taking time to just do some real basic stretches can kind of decompress and release some of that pressure in your spine and neck and take some tension out as well. And that's going to go a long way in helping you feel a little bit less stressed and pulled together. And it should go without saying, that's why it's not on this list, but make sure you're getting some sleep. Just like it's hard to remember to eat a meal and grab your snacks throughout the day, it is hard whenever you're scrolling through your phone or watching Netflix or whatever, and you look at the clock and say, oh, well, it's 2 a.m., maybe just one more episode. So make sure you're getting rest. You want to take the most out of this break and really enjoy all the rest that you can get. I know some of you said you were going to sleep in for the first time in a while. Definitely take advantage of that. And then, of course, I have to add, if you're going anywhere, please wear a mask, keep yourself safe, keep others safe. That's a top priority. I want to go over also an emotional checklist. I know we are socially distanced. That does not mean emotionally distanced during this time. And I know that's a catchphrase that a lot of people are using, so I feel a little bit cheesy using it as well, but it is true. Something that you can do each day is try to aim for acknowledging out loud 5 things that you are grateful for. Even if it's just 1 or 2 things that you can think of on that day, that can help lift your mood, and that can help you maybe think, well, I'm grateful for this person. I'm going to pick up the phone and give them a call, FaceTime, or just send them a quick text to see how they're doing. Schedule time to talk with trusted individuals. It can be really hard because in a moment you might feel like I need to check in with this person, but you'll reach out and then they're busy, and that makes you feel bad for reaching out. But one way to alleviate that is to send them a text and say, hey, would you like to schedule like maybe once a week or every other week we check in with a FaceTime call or a Zoom call, as if we're not fatigued enough with those things. But just to see how things are going and to be kind of a support, because you don't want to lose contact with people, and especially people at the university, like your classmates and people you're in organizations with, or maybe even people you work with. You want to make sure you're staying in touch during these few weeks that you're away from classes. And of course, one of my favorite things for just emotional well-being is creating playlists. If you are somebody on Spotify and you look up the License to Chill playlist, it is a personal favorite of mine. It's really laid back. There are a couple of songs that get a little bit aggressive in the chorus, but overall, it's a fantastic playlist. It's okay. I'm not going to spend too much time on that. Social checklist. This was a hard one to put together because everywhere that I looked for checklists and ideas for staying social during this holiday break, there were recommendations of getting together with people. And as we know, that is not super safe right now. So, scheduling a call over lunch or dinner to check in with friends and family. For example, later in the month, I'm going to schedule a Zoom call and invite all my friends and my family, and we're just going to have lunch during that time and talk and catch up. It doesn't have to be super formal. People don't have to join if they don't want to, or if at the last minute they decide, you know what, I'm not feeling it today, I don't really want to join. That's okay. It's a no judgment. Just join if you want to, and you're going to eat lunch at that time. I recommend also playing games and inviting people to them. This is a great way to stay in contact and have a little fun and feel a little bit normal. Among Us is great. I know a lot of you know what that is. And then, watching movies on Netflix, there are different plugins where you can watch a movie and invite other people to it. So you're watching the same movie at the same time, and there's a chat feature so you can kind of comment on the movie as you're going through. And that's been really fun to do as well. I'd say that this break would be much, much more challenging to get through without technology. And so whenever you're thinking about how you use technology, be mindful of your screen time, because if you're going to be on devices most of the day or night, get some blue light filtering glasses or a blue light filtering screen protector so it's not harming your eyes as much. And know that that's just going to be a little bit, it's going to go a long way in protecting you down the line. When thinking about social media over the break, if you are one of the people that are traveling and going to be around people, make sure that you are mindful and just a little sensitive to what you're posting online. I'm in no way telling you not to share pictures. You do whatever you would like to do. But it is hard for the people that aren't traveling, that are staying home and taking all these precautions to see other people going out and about and doing life as usual. That is where a lot of the pandemic fatigue is coming in, not only because we're tired in general of everything associated with this pandemic, but also because we do see other people that are out there living and doing just fine. It's like, well, they can do it, maybe I can too. And that's where mistakes are made. And so I'm not here to dive into the whole pandemic talk, but I am going to say that, just be mindful and use social media for good and to post uplifting things and to be a resource to others where you can. I'll pause before I go to the next thing. Someone has a recommendation that they keep their laptop on night mode for most of the day, and that helps. That's something that I do too. It definitely helps. If your laptop does not have that mode, they do make laptop screen protectors that are blue light filtering. And so that's something that you can get on Amazon, fairly affordable. And so I definitely recommend it. So now I want to dive into research activity during the break. So, you've got about 4 weeks, like I mentioned, and this is a time where a lot of faculty aren't as available, right? So I'm going to dispel a couple of misconceptions that faculty and staff get the same amount of time off that students do. Because I will often get emails from students saying, all right, have a wonderful break. You know, I'll see you in the middle of January. And it's like, okay, no, I am here. I am here for any questions you have, even when you are on break. So a lot of faculty and all staff are still working and reporting in and checking emails all the way up until December 23rd. So we have December 24th through January 1st off. So those days we won't be checking email more than likely. But outside of those days, we are still working. So if you have questions, that's a good time to email us and ask us questions and request meetings. And so I know a lot of faculty will shut off their email as soon as finals end and they post grades. And they won't check again until classes resume in January. But there are still some faculty, and I'd say a lot of them, still check the emails, still respond. So know that you can still reach out. As far as our office, I will be out, I think, December 21st through January 1st. So I'm going to take those couple weeks off, but I will still be checking my emails. And so if you send something to me that is very urgent, I'm still going to respond to you. So know that even though it's a break time and there are no classes happening, we are still here for you at the university. We are here to answer your questions and provide support and send you resources. So know that that is available to you still. And we'd like to stay in communication with you during the break. What you can focus on during this time, even if your faculty mentor or your on-campus contact for the work that you do with your research is away, if they say, hey, I'm not going to check my email as much during this time, maybe work on some things independently. Some of that can look like data collection or analysis that can be done remotely. I know that in some disciplines, it is very challenging to do those things from your home. So talk with your mentor before the break and say, hey, I'd like to work on a little bit, not anything super overwhelming, but just something small to keep some momentum over the break. What do you have that I can do remotely from home? And they'll be able to give you recommendations, and they might tell you, hey, I don't want you to think about this over the break, just rest and relax. And that's something you can totally do too. Everything I'm saying here today is just recommendations if you want to do research activity over the break. Something else, some of you said that you will be doing some reading. So reading critically and taking notes on the things that you're reading and writing annotations or, quick abstracts of what you've read. That can be helpful as you jump into the spring semester with your research, to have that all pulled together and be thinking about what the literature says out there. And how you want to organize that information, particularly if you are writing a senior honors thesis, working on an article, or you're just working on a paper in general, and focusing during this time on writing small sections. So going into this break, I don't want you to sit there and make a goal of writing 20, 30 pages. Focus more on small chunks, write a few paragraphs, focus on writing a portion of a literature review or a portion of an introduction. Keep it very small and attainable for the purpose of winter break. Because the goal, ultimately, as it says here, is to break down your time and not yourself. You don't want to reach a point of burnout during winter break, because that's not what winter break is for. So I encourage you to come up with 1 or 2 goals to accomplish. So for some of you, 1 goal might feel like it's a little too easy, but I don't encourage you to go for 3 or more goals, because 3 goals in 4 weeks, when you're really just wanting to take some time to rest, when you might be celebrating holidays or just spending time with family in general, you just want to keep it to a manageable level. You want them to be smart, so specific, measurable, attainable, relevant to a project you're working on, and time-based. So you've got about 4 weeks. And so you want to make sure that you're accomplishing these things within that time frame. Or if you want them to extend into the spring, you want them to be specific enough that you know how it's going to tie into the following semester. So take some time to write down the tasks associated with accomplishing your goals. So you'll say, okay, number 1 goal, number 2 goal, and then bullet points under each one for the tasks that you have to get done to achieve those. And then think about how much time those tasks will take you. Sometimes it's helpful to write out, okay, I know that I have to get online and search for articles. I'm going to make a goal of looking for 10 articles, 10 peer-reviewed articles, and I know that it will take me an hour and a half to do the initial search, and then from there, it's going to take me maybe an hour to 2 hours to read through each article. And so breaking down your time and knowing yourself and how you operate, that's going to be how you determine if you want to take on these goals too. So when you set these goals down on paper, you are totally allowed to scratch them out and say, you know what, no, that one requires way too much work to get done during winter break. I'm going to set that aside for the spring semester. Unless it's something that your mentor has said you have to get this done during this break, know that you are in charge of these goals and the things that you're getting done during winter break. I want you to think about the times during the week or the times of the day that you work best. So there are some of you that might work better early in the morning. I personally work best late at night, which is why so many of you have gotten emails from me at 1 or 2 in the morning. And I encourage you to not try to do something every single day. That is a quick route to burnout over winter break. So make a 2-day work schedule for yourself, just a couple days a week over those 4 weeks where you are working on research activity. And maybe day 1 is reading and day 2 is writing, or day 1 is analysis and day 2 is planning, other parts of an experiment. So think about what you want that time to be structured like. Work in small chunks of time and take breaks. I'm going to get into this more here in a minute, but there's always the Pomodoro technique, time blocking, Kanban. These are really great ways to visualize what you are doing and what your kind of trends are with managing your time. A lot of people use a scheduling or task tracking tool. Todoist is great. There is kind of a learning curve with it if you want to set up some workflows, and it takes time to get it set up in the beginning, but once you start using it and get familiar with it, it moves pretty quickly. Trello is another one that's great. You can create different boards and add tasks to them. And you can also, I think, like text something to Trello and it will add something to a board for you or add a reminder. I know plenty of people who just use their calendar, whether it's Google or Outlook, creating chunks of time. And instead of an event, they'll just write in the tasks that they are working on during that chunk of time. That is something that works. And of course, I'm a big fan of celebrating your small and big wins along the way. So whether you are taking on really big goals during this winter break or just small, simple tasks, you want to get through one article, you want to annotate one thing, that is a win. No matter how you cut it, that's a win. And so share that with people on your research team, friends, family, post it on social media. It is okay to brag about your accomplishments when you do it with some tact and it is true. And so there are also productivity apps that reward you. Some people don't like to go out and share, as much. They just like to kind of keep it to themselves and internalize that reward for the work they're doing. And that's fine too. I want to talk about the Pomodoro technique really quickly. Some of you may be really familiar with this, and some of you might be doing this and just didn't know the name for it. But basically, you pick a task and set a 25-minute timer and work on that until the time is up. Once the time is up, you take a 5-minute break. And during that 5-minute break, you stay away from all screens. You get up and walk away from the project you're working on, the task you're doing. Maybe go grab a coffee or a snack and, talk to somebody. The exception here to technology is you can pick up the phone and call somebody, but looking at screens and scrolling through, that's kind of a no-no with the breaks on Pomodoro technique. And every 4 Pomodoros, which one Pomodoro is 30 minutes. So the 25-minute task focused and then the 5-minute break. Every 4 Pomodoros, you take a longer 15 to 30-minute break. And during that longer break, you can look at your phone or, watch a TV episode or something, but the most focused thing to do is to sit down and maybe do a brain dump and say, okay, this is what I want to focus on during the next round. Or, the next round, you can sit down and spend that first 25-minute chunk working out what you want to do moving forward. So this is really effective. There are a lot of apps out there that help you do this. There are some computer-based apps, and I forget the names of them right now. So as I'm talking about it and you know what I'm talking about, if you want to add it in the chat, feel free. But there are things that you can set, and while you're working on something, if you exit out of it before the timer is up, your computer can lock you out. And I've got a friend who's used this and lost some of their progress on something before. So I personally haven't tried it because I'm terrified, but still the Pomodoro technique does work. It's really effective. Another thing that you can do is called time blocking. And as you look at this, the thing that tends to be, that people tend to gravitate towards is this time blocking side of the picture. So there's what most people do and then time blocking. And so rather than having very short, super specific calendar events dedicated to little tasks, you can group your tasks into larger categories and say, okay, from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., I am going to search for articles. From 11 to 12:30, I'm going to take lunch and watch TV or call a friend. At 1 o'clock until about 3, I will sit down and annotate one of the articles from in the morning. So that's an example of how you can do time blocking, because what some people might do is say, okay, I'm going to start searching for articles and I'm going to annotate as I go. And I'll just take lunch when I feel like it. And, I'll text friends throughout the day. But that can get to where you feel a little bit chaotic in the approach and the process. So if you sit down and think about how you want to structure your day ahead of time, it can help you stay more organized, accomplish more in a shorter period of time because you are so focused on specific categories of tasks. So this is something that a lot of people enjoy doing because you can also visualize this on a calendar. Another thing that's popular is Kanban method, and it's Kanban boards, actually. So this is what a lot of people will do with Post-its. You can get a piece of paper and make 3, categories to it, and then put over here in the to-do side, all the Post-its with the tasks that you need to accomplish. And then you don't even have to have to do, doing, and done. You can just have to do and done if you'd like. But as you're progressing with these tasks, you move them across this little board or piece of paper until they have all migrated over to the done portion of the paper. This is a super rewarding way of tracking your tasks because you can see how everything is progressing across the page and getting accomplished. So this is something a lot of people like to do. And you don't even necessarily have to use Post-its. You can do this online. There are some tools for doing it. So I just wanted to provide a few things, a few ways to approach it. I mentioned Todoist as an app earlier. They have obviously a website, and under their resources, they've got this like a time management or task management productivity quiz to kind of determine how you might best use your time and organize your tasks based on your responses. And they go through some of these approaches in ways that are really, really easy to digest and not too wordy. So that's something I recommend looking at as well. So I said that there are some apps that are focused on Pomodoro technique. If you really like gamified time management, a lot of people already know about Forest and Flora. Basically, you go into the app, you set a timer for an activity. You can set up like study, work, writing, reading, or relaxing, whatever it might be, and pick a time. A lot of people pick 25 minutes because Pomodoro. And for whatever period of time that you're not on your phone, if you hit that 25-minute mark, it has planted a tree for you and it has grown into a beautiful tree or flower based on the app that you are using. And you can connect with other people using the app, searching by email. So if you have friends that are on there, you can actually be working on projects at the same time. And if one of you leaves when you're not supposed to, the forest dies. So, there are ways to stay on track and be connected socially too. If you're looking for more of a traditional type of Pomodoro-based app that's not gamified, there is Focus Keeper and an app called Be Focused, and these are fantastic. Focus Keeper is probably a little bit more highly rated. And Flora, I was reading a few reviews the other day. Flora is, I guess, prettier than the Forest app, but I like the Forest app just fine. It does the job. Todoist makes an app that's fantastic, but I find that the web-based one is better because it's larger and you can track your tasks there. Trello is web-based, and I want to say there's an app for it. And then there's Google Keep. If you are an Android or just in general Google person, Keep is a great way to organize things on some like virtual sticky notes. And I like using it. And then of course, if you have Apple-based devices, Reminders is great because you can set the times to be reminded to do specific things. So when we're done here today, and actually in a few minutes, I can send this to you all. This is just a template for you to use in planning out your winter break. So I have put a little red circle on the days that finals are happening, because you should know those days, and you shouldn't plan any research activity for those days. Just, of course, dive into finals and allow yourself to focus fully on that. I would encourage most people not to do research on the 17th, 18th, 19th. Just relax. Enjoy the fact that you made it through finals, through this semester, through 2020, and then maybe start planning on some work for the following week. I know some people are planning to celebrate holidays later that next week, but think about days you want to be working on something, days you definitely don't want to work on things, and highlight, circle, star, whatever you want to do with the dates here. And over on this side, you can pick a couple of goals and elaborate and decide if you want to move forward with those. I'm also going to include the January one. The 18th is MLK Day, and so the university will be closed that day. And then we start classes on Tuesday the 19th. And so just so for your knowledge again, staff will be back on campus on Monday, January 4th. So if you're working on research and you have questions, feel free to reach out to us and we can help you during those first couple of weeks of the year to kind of get you established with your research goals. Let's say you didn't want to work on anything in December, but you want to take the first 2 weeks of January to work on things. Happy to be a resource and get you pointed in the direction of campus resources to support you with that work, whether it is things through the library or other workshops that can help. And then, once classes start, most people will have their research agenda kind of set for the semester anyway. So again, I'll be sending this here in a minute, as well as like a daily breakdown if you're somebody who likes to write down a daily sheet of tasks and goals. So I've got some final thoughts to share. I want you to think about how your winter break goals can set you up for success in the spring and beyond. But don't work yourself to the point of burnout. Don't do it. If you are sitting here after this and thinking, okay, that was a lot of information, I appreciate it, I don't want to do any research over the break, that is perfectly fine. Taking care of yourself and doing nothing all day sometimes is the most productive thing that you can do for yourself. So know that there are different types of productivity, and knocking things out and getting things done all day, every day is not the only way to be productive. Taking care of yourself is productive. I don't care what anybody else says, it's productive and it's important. If you need resources, if you need help or support, reach out and ask for that support. If you don't know who to reach out to the next best person that you think might know where to go for help. And chances are they will know. Or if they don't, they will continue working to help get you where you need to be. If you don't know where to go for certain resources, or you'd like an introduction to somebody in research, please feel free to reach out to me and I'll try my very best to get you connected. But I want you to know, and I want to reiterate, that during this break, we are still here for you at the university. The university still goes on and runs during that break so that we can be here for you and provide resources to help you feel supported. So if you have questions, if you just need to check in, if you want to take 10 minutes to brag about the research you've done one day, feel free to reach out and ask for a quick Zoom call. I will listen to you brag about your research and cheer for you. So you need that. I think we all do. So just know that you're supported. I do want to go ahead and stop this sharing, and I'm going to add something here in the chat so you have access to these files. Let's see where it went. There's one, and here's another one. Okay, so I've added in the chat a couple of files. One is a simple daily planner, and this is just for you if you want to print it out or fill it in online, for you to pick a day and say, okay, these are the times of the day where I'm going to be working on certain things. Here's my ongoing project. And then at the end of the day, if you want to take some notes about the day and what you got done, where you want to pick up the next day, that's really helpful to have. By no means do you have to use this. They are just something that I'm providing in case you'd like to use it. And then the winter goals sheet is just the 2 calendar pages. They're both in a single PDF. So you can, again, edit these online or in PDF, or you can print them out, scribble all over them, highlight, star, circle, whatever you need. But there are a lot of other tools out there that I just wanted you to be aware of and know that you can take advantage of. So that's really all that I have for today. And so if you have other questions or comments, I want to open the floor now. So what questions do you have? And it's okay if your questions are not about winter break and time management type things. If you have questions about the programs in our office or just general getting involved with research, you can ask those here too.
Hi, I have a question. Well, first I just want to say thank you for the presentation. It was really helpful. And also, do you know if SURF and the HERE programs are going to be virtual for 2021?
Yeah, so right now we are planning to have them virtually. If anything changes, we can very easily transition those back to in person. That's just a question of, reserving rooms and making sure we're ready to go with those. So we will reserve rooms on campus just in case we're able to do it. But I am going to be operating under the assumption that they will be done virtually. So The HERE program, Dr. Ricky Bettinger is in charge of, and so she would have a bit more information about it, but it will be in August this next year. The application deadline is Friday, March 12th, so just before spring break. And as a reminder to you all, HERE is for students finishing up their first or second year at UH. If you have a 3.5, you can apply. You are not required to get a faculty mentor and write a research proposal for it. And it comes with a $1,000 scholarship. So if you're interested in that, Dr. Ricky Bettinger is someone you can contact. The SURF program, we did it virtually this year as well, and it went well. I'd say the vast majority of the students, we awarded 87 this year, which was a larger number than usual. And 78 of those did everything 100% virtually. The rest of the students, they maybe went to the labs or to campus to collect books from the library 1 or 2 times. And then the rest of their projects were done remotely. And so I don't think it was so much of an issue. Of course, it's not the same as being on campus, and I know that. But when you apply to the SURF program, there is a component of that application now where you are required to talk about, it's a remote contingency plan. So you have your proposal where you talk about your project and what you're going to do and its significance. And then in your remote contingency plan, you lay out your communication plan with your research mentor and how often you're going to communicate. You provide a timeline over the 10 weeks, what tasks will be done each week and how you will get those done remotely. If you need to have access to software, you need to demonstrate in that portion of the application that there will be no issues obtaining access to software or equipment if you are doing things remotely. And so that's really your safeguard when you're applying to SURF, to let the review committee know that you've thought about all the possibilities if you can be on campus, but you've also thought about, okay, if I have to go completely online, I can still get this done. Let's see, I remember reading that we have some virtual meetings for PERS spring 2021. Do we have dates for those yet? So if you go to our office website and click on news and events, and I'll actually just grab this link for you really quick. I added these events a couple nights ago. So here in the chat, you can see at this page, these are all of our webinars, events, and deadlines associated with our office. And so it starts with an event that happened on Wednesday of this week. But if you scroll down and you see the first date in January, we start with getting started in research, and we're going to have some creating research posters meetings in January and February to help you all get ready for undergraduate research day. There will be an ethics and research webinar on January 29th that PERS students will be required to attend. And registration will open in January. I'm thinking like the first week of January, these links will be available. And then as you scroll through, you'll see that there's a crafting research proposals webinar on February 12th that students will be required to attend, and communicating, creating research posters and communicating your research. And then there will be a time management in grad school and presenting and publishing your research. So I'm also going to add a literature review lecture to this because I did one of these this fall and it went really well, and we've been asked to do another one in the spring. So I haven't selected the date for that yet, but it will be available. There will also be a webinar focused on IRB, because what a lot of students don't know is that if you are doing a research project that involves human subjects, so if you're interviewing people or sending surveys out and collecting responses, you have to have IRB approval. And so it can be kind of a long process. It can be a few weeks or it can be a couple of months. And so it all depends on how well you understand the IRB process and how well you've written the proposal to submit for approval. So we'll have a workshop then, but I encourage you to reach out with questions about IRB now if you have them too. So yeah, there's the information on that. Are there any other questions as we wrap up?
I have one more question.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know if this program is under the College of Undergraduate Research, but do you know about the Houston Scholars Program?
I do. It is in our office. Dr. Ben Rader is the director of that program. And so I will send that link here in the chat as well.
Okay, perfect. So I was just wondering, like, what are the eligibility requirements to apply and sort of what is the program about? If you can speak on that.
Yeah, sure. So it is a program for really strong freshmen and sophomores to receive mentorship, and they receive scholarship funding. And the program focuses on research, internship opportunities, and there's a seminar series. Students work on, projects focused in their areas. And so it's a great opportunity to get some professional development and research experience at the same time, while focusing on very specific issues in the Houston community. So like, for example, this fall, the students did a virtual retreat and they attend a virtual seminar series about the theme of inequality, which the office selects a theme for Houston Scholars and the HERE program. So Houston Scholars are working on inequality in the greater Houston area this academic year, and the HERE program for 2021 will focus on inequality in the greater Houston area. So just know that there are themes associated each year with these programs. The students involved with Houston Scholars attend a winter program. It's like a 4 or 5 day retreat that they focus on research proposal development, to apply for some seed funding to work on summer and fall projects. And through those projects, students propose ideas or solutions for the theme. So for example, the projects that the Houston Scholars are working on right now, they are focusing on finding solutions for inequality in Houston. And then they will have kind of a pitch to a panel on April 1st, which is the same day as Undergraduate Research Day. So there's opportunities to work on a project and develop proposals and, pitch ideas that can have real change. And there's also courses that are associated with the Houston Scholars program that Dr. Rader teaches. And again, in the second semester of it in the spring, they attend seminars and participate in service activities with the Bonner Leaders program, and enroll in an additional class that's called Mapping Success. And so it's a really well-organized program. So if you're a freshman or sophomore and wanting to get involved with that, Dr. Rader is, again, the director of that program, and he can tell you a bit more about how to apply. The application is usually due in early fall, like I think it was maybe September 1st or somewhere around there this year. But definitely reach out if you have questions.
Okay, and do we need a proposal to apply?
To be perfectly honest, I'm not as familiar with the Houston Scholars Program. Let me look on the website really quick to see if it's here.
And also, do you know if this is a 1-year program or is it for the 4 years?
Houston Scholars is a 1-year program, but it's a $500 scholarship for the semester, and that scholarship is renewable for up to 2 years. So, you can receive $500 a semester for up to 2 years if you are selected to participate.
Okay, thank you so much. I really appreciate your answer.
Yeah, and I'm trying to see the application process. The only thing I'm able to see is a reapplication form. in our system. But let me see. Okay, here it is. That was very easy to see. There is an application, and it says that rising sophomores must have at least a 3.5 GPA, and there's an application process. I don't know where that went. I want to be able to answer that question for you.
Is it possible to do both Houston Scholars and the HERE program at the same time?
Yeah, so I can't find that application. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Just kidding, I found it. Okay, so the application, if it will open. Let me get it open here. View. Okay, so it looks like they are looking for they want to know if you are familiar with or interested in certain major awards. There are some essay questions that ask you to describe an experience that illustrates your ongoing commitment to service or leadership. Tell us about any awards or honors that you have received. What research or area of study captures your curiosity and passion, and to describe that more. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years, and to provide one fact about yourself that might not otherwise be pulled from like a resume or transcript. So
is it possible for you to share this application that you found?
So I can't share it since it's been closed. I'm only able to see it on the inside part of the system.
Okay.
But if you reach out to Dr. Rader, I'm going to put his email here. Okay. So he will be able to tell you more, and he might be able to pull something to send to you. You asked if you can do HERE and Houston Scholars at the same time. And so HERE is a summer program. So it's 2 weeks long in August. And so you learn about research and a full introduction to it. And then the students who participate in HERE are actually invited from there to apply to the Houston Scholars program. So you can do HERE and then apply to Houston Scholars and move into that program almost immediately after completing the HERE program.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I wasn't aware of that sort of connection.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. Are there any other questions? Okay. Well, I know we are a few minutes over, so I appreciate you all being here. I hope that you got something from this today. And again, as a reminder, these are just recommendations. If you'd like to do research activity over the break, take the time to rest and reflect, because you have more than earned it. And just, again, let me know how I can be a resource to you all. All right. Have a nice weekend.
Have a nice break. Thank you so much. This was really helpful.
Good. I'm so glad.